everyone. I'm your Customer Success Manager, Melissa Mintz. I wanted to thank you for joining us today and appreciate you spending time so that my colleague, Robin McCarty, can show you the new features that the community requested for Inscape. Before Robin kicks things off with her demo, we will be recording and also sending the replay email out, so just wanted to reiterate that. Also, if you have any questions, please use the raise hand feature and unmute yourself, and we will answer your questions one at a time. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Robin for the demonstration of the new features that you guys wanted to see in Inscape. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And as Melissa said, I am Robin McCarty. I work with the development team on the products of Inscape, Inscape Manage, also known as Inscape 365, and our 365 Productivity Insights. So I will walk you through a few of the things that we've released in the last 2 weeks. And hopefully, these are things that we've implemented based on your feedback. We love having feedback from you. I know a lot of you know Melissa. You could reach out to her. There's some sites on our 365 Productivity Insights where you can submit your feedback directly. And just please, we encourage you to help us help yourselves and our community of users with a tool that will make your lives easier to manage 365. And so what we're going to review today is our Inscape platform. And I put the URLs in this slide deck here just to help you in case you aren't sure where we're starting. The Inscape platform is going to be like the main home page. In that new feature that we have in Inscape is called Account Info, and I'm going to show you the new financial snapshot that's very exciting to release, and it will have trending insights so you can see over historical increases or decreases in your billing. We'll also be looking at Inscape Manage, again also known as Inscape 365, and we have some new dashboards in that tool: user management, security management, and the cost management. And we'll wrap it around our new productivity insights, and where, if you haven't already signed up for that, the URL is here. You can sign up to get productivity insights, which will help you with your Teams activity and your email activity. Okay, I'm going to come over here and start on the Inscape page. This, I hope everybody is familiar with. This is the platform.inscape365. This is where you are going to use to launch into our various tools. Most of you are familiar with the Microsoft licensing. That's where you can increase, decrease licenses, the assignment of those licenses. Today's call, we're going to focus on this account info. It used to be called invoice history. We've enhanced it with a new financial snapshot. And so this is my demo account. So it's going to show you right now a demo amount worth of billings. But I do have here on the summary page a nice chart that will show you, depending on your environment and the products that you have purchased through our CSP program, your billing. And you'll be able to go through a range, and get a trended view into your billing. This is all backed by Power BI. So if you're familiar with Power BI, you should recognize some of the icons here. But if you're not, once you cover over different areas, you see there's a couple of little icons that appear. So in those icons, this here, focus mode, will make it a larger view. This one doesn't have much data, but you can see it'll make it full screen. And the most important one is probably the 3 dots, and you can export data. Okay, so for the summary page, it's going to be a combination of the Microsoft and Champion items that you sourced through us. But Microsoft, for example, Office 365 is broken out. You have Azure is broken out as well. if you want to see how did I come, how does my bill of $68.53, how is that made up? You can come here now, look at the chart. If you want, again, focus mode will make it larger for you, or you can export this data, right? So exporting the data is going to give you a summarized detailed view of this data. And within Excel, you can look at and see the prorations, if you had any increases or decreases in your license count for the month. You'll be able to see that prorated charge. Okay, so this is a very important thing. A lot of accounting, contacts will reach out to our accounting team asking for this detail. So I encourage you, when you're in Inscape and you're on the account info tab, come on over here to the user role, so you don't have to run these reports for your accounting team every month. Come in here and click on user roles, and you can add the accounting team. So it's just going to give them access to this financial view. They won't be able to make license changes. They won't be able to make assignments of those licenses. They'll be restricted to the snapshot, the invoice history, the billing information, your address for the bill, and they won't have access to anything else. So I encourage you to come here to user roles, add user. It'll look up in your Azure Active Directory for the person, and you can add them. And then, as you can see, we can remove access. You're able to remove access as well. So again, this is in Inscape, in account info, and it's our new financial snapshot. Is there any questions? Melissa, if you want to let me know if there's any questions.
Of course, yeah, I'm scrolling through. I don't see any hands raised so far, Robin, so
Right.
keep on going.
Okay, thank you. I'm working on one screen today, so I don't want to veer off of this screen. So, and if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us after this call if you feel more comfortable talking one-on-one, and we can look at your environment specifically. Okay, so the next thing we wanted to review today is on the Inscape Manage. So again, from our Inscape platform, you would click on this Inscape Manage. And I already have it open.
This is Frank. I'm sorry I was late. I got stuck putting out a fire.
Okay, no problem, Frank. We're recording this, so you'll be able to watch the recording.
Great.
So we're jumped over here into Inscape Manage. And here I'm in my, this is actually the champion account. So you can see user management if you're familiar with our Inscape 365 product. User management has not changed much. This was the original looking dashboard. So all the features of this page should look familiar. So I'm not going to go into them in detail. What I will focus on is the security management and the cost management tab. So on, Melissa, can you make sure everyone's muted but me?
Yeah, everybody looks to be muted. If you're not, please, can you guys make sure that you're muted? I'm scrolling through here. It looks like everybody is.
Okay, thank you. I was getting a little feedback.
Yeah.
So on the security management, the secure score, this is pulling from Microsoft, their representation of how secure you are. And they have broken the data points out into identity, data, device, apps, and infrastructure. So everybody's going to be on a little bit different path. And not everything is going to be at 100%. And that's okay, we feel. But if you have anything that you want us to help you with, review, please reach out to us and we can certainly do that. So the identity risk events, this data is dependent on your Azure Active Directory and having a premium P1 or P2 license. So if you don't see data here, it could be because you're not licensed with the Azure AD Premium P1, and you can certainly purchase that through Inscape yourselves in a self-service model, or you can reach out to us and we'll help you with that. Scrolling down, what we have on the right-hand side is your, quick view of mailbox forwarding. We think this is, key, that a lot of things that people don't even look at. Mailbox forwarding, really the external. Did a user of yours set up an external forwarding that you're not aware of? We encourage you to look at this. This might be all, expected in, forwards that you have set up for specific reasons. But do check it out. You may find something in here that's out of the norm for your company. The Malefactor or multi-factor authentication, the bottom, again, this is going to be pulling from your Azure Active Directory and the accounts enabled. I can tell you that we are enhancing this report because right now, as you can see here, we have guest users being pulled into this number. And so we're going to be filtering out the guest users, right? So if you look at this and are concerned, do realize that we will be updating it to take out the guest users. So this data, though, can be exported into a detailed log if you want to inspect it further. And again, that's our security management or security view dashboard. Now, the big feature that we were very excited to release is the cost management dashboard. So again, it might be something that you need to provide your internal chargebacks. Or accounting team might want to, they might come to you in the IT department and say, well, how much is the accounting team, costing each month for Office 365? On this view, you can do that by coming over to, we have a filterable, come down here, assigned license cost by filter. And so one of the requests that we have received from our community is how do we tell how much each department is costing us a month? So you're going to be able to filter by department, for example, and let's pick on the accounting team, right? Because they're the ones that want to know the numbers all the time. So our accounting team, in our example here, is cost $606 a month. And if you wanted to take this and use it as a chargeback feature, you can export it to Excel or a CSV file and share it internally. And again, this is going to pull from the Azure Active Directory, the user's profile. So you do need to have your Azure AD, cleaned up. I know sometimes you can get a little crazy in there. So if you have, departments or state, city, country, office location, you'll be able to filter upon those fields. On the right-hand side, you'll see we're calling to your attention, Lisa, no, you cannot have control. On the right-hand side, the blocked users with a license, this is calling to your attention those users in your Azure AD that are blocked. They would not be able to log in to Office 365, but yet they have a license. So you're paying for their license, and it might be something that you are consciously doing, but we want to bring this to your attention in case you could say, no, like this John test account, okay, it's a test account, they don't need to be licensed anymore. I would be able to remove that license from the user. That license will go back into your bucket. It does not reduce the license count, but it removes it from the user, freeing it up for you to then assign to somebody else. And again, any one of these three dots you can click on and you can go into their detailed log. Working our way back up, we have inactive users again. So John Test, my test guy here, he hasn't signed in. Well, probably because I've locked him. But if you see other people listed here, again, these are people that would be licensed that have not logged in. And it'll tell you the last date that they've logged in. And the pricing that you see here, I will say, for the community that's on the call right now, this should be all of our CST customers, where we are your CSP provider. So you purchase through us. But this product, Inscape 365, is available for clients that are not, purchasing through us. So the pricing you see here is based on a list price value. So what we have done is give you the opportunity to modify the price in Inscape to reflect your cost. So how would you do that? You'd click on Office 365 at the top, and I have it open in another tab. So I clicked on Office 365, I click on Licenses, and then License Cost. And so you could really tailor this to your billing by modifying, if Active Directory Basic costs 90 cents for you, you can modify that here by clicking on the pencil, changing it, saving it, and it'll report that you've modified your price. Price changes here will reflect on the cost management page with a refresh, of the browser. And again, any of these reports you can export to Excel or a CSV file and share internally.
Hey, Robin, we do have a couple of questions here. Carla, if you unmute yourself, you please ask the question that you have.
Yeah, if we're using Champion and Message Ops, whichever one this is, as our CSP, will the cost stuff not reflect what we're paying?
Not in this view. So
why,
this view
why
here,
not?
Because they are still independent of the billing and cost management. We are working to pull in this tool, Inscape 365, through API connections, be able to read the billing. The billing is the billing management. If you want to get your actual bill, is going to be here in the account info of Inscape. Inscape 365 is still independent, if you will, from the data of Inscape. So it's on our roadmap, and it will be something that we are working towards every day to get them to talk to each other.
Okay, so would we have to go in and just update the costs once, or would we have to do it every single month?
No, it's just once. So, and because of, security levels, like somebody like me, I couldn't go into your company's view and modify these, right? We have I can't do that for you, but you could come in here to license costs and change this one time, into your price, and it will lock in and it'll save. So when you look at the cost management dashboard here, it'll reflect your pricing.
Okay, so I have to flip back and forth between those two screens so that I can get each one?
Well, this is a cost management. This is not to be your invoice, right? This is more of if you don't make any changes, this is how much it would cost each month. But we know there's prorations involved, and we know, license counts changes daily. So if you're looking for how much did you pay, then you definitely want to use Inscape and the account info. But if you're looking at it as a guide to see how much is things costing me on a monthly basis, this is the view that you're going to look at to kind of get, at a point in time, this based on the quantities that we have today and the assignments that we have today, what my cost would be.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll have to play with it to see what that would do for me. Thanks.
Okay.
Robin, I think there was one other question. I saw Jack Mullen had his hand raised. Jack, do you still have a question at this time for Robin and the team here?
I did, and then I changed my mind originally, but I'll ask it now anyways. To go back to billing by department, is there any way to have that show on our invoicing that we get billed? So that way when we're turning in expense reports, it makes it easier Or is that still just a separate report we have to print out?
Yeah, so the issue with that is that your bill is based on what you have purchased, licenses that you have purchased. And that doesn't always reflect what you have assigned. So we're not doing, you know, billing based on departments, because you could have licenses that don't fit into a department at all, right? They're so they have not been. There's no way that we can combine the two to get to the outcome that I think most people want. So for a departmental chargeback, the solution that we find most useful is to use this filter by, you know, license cost. And you could do all the different departments that you have, or you can do it by state, like I said, our office location, but it is dependent on if you have it, you know, correctly configured. But as you probably can tell from this conversation, if you had licenses that were never assigned, they wouldn't fall into any one of those buckets of departmental. So that's why we keep it, we don't put that in the invoice.
Okay, so yeah, we'll just have to generate a separate report, and then we can give that to our departments to let them know how that's going to break down to split
Exactly.
costs. Okay.
Yep. And on our roadmap is to be able to set like a report that you could schedule to run for you, and then email it to you, right? That's our goal, is that we're going to get this into a schedule report so you don't have to come in each month and do it.
All righty, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so our last topic, as I know we're getting close to the end of time, is a new productivity insight. And so the website, if you haven't signed up for Productivity Insight, is our message ops website, Microsoft-activity-report. It'll be in the follow-up email that Melissa sends. And just click on the sign in with Microsoft 365. As a global administrator, has to do it the first time global administrator account consents to the app. And then what you'll see is here displayed on my screen. Here you can, if I refresh it, I want to point out the data that's being pulled is coming from Microsoft. And that data is refreshed. Right now it's looking about once a week. And so at the very bottom, the report data has been updated for our account, for an example, on June 2nd. And so you can have Teams activity usage and mail, exchange mail reports of emails in and out, Teams chat, private chats, all that in a Power BI backed display that you can filter and search. I'll use myself as an example. You can click on the user, and here we've got, my Teams activity. Usually you can see the down slopes are on the weekends. It's going to tell me, I'm using my Windows machine most of the time, and then my phone. And as I go through the different tabs, it's going to carry through who I filtered. And I can filter by name. I'm going to erase that, start back over. And I can filter by department. So again, I'll pick on accounting. I don't think they're on this call. And we can check that. Again, it's Power BI back, so you'll have your icons here that we discussed at the beginning, and you can export this data. I think the biggest one that most people are exporting is the last one, which is a combination of email and Teams usage. And you can export that if you need to, share that with a department head. This has been something that we released at the beginning of our new world that we're living in with a lot of remote workers. And so this is available to you. If it is right now, it lives outside of our platform. So you will have to log in here. I'll drop it in the chat window in a second. And you can log in by signing in with your Microsoft 365 account. Again, the global administrator for credential will need to be used to consent to the application. Okay, and it is 2:30. I'm sorry I didn't leave enough time at the end. Melissa, are there any questions?
I'm taking a look. I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time, so I think that's it, unless anybody has a question before we wrap up today.
Nope. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well for your time. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And I know Melissa will be sending out a link with the recording shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.